In the late 18th century, Europe was a continent in flux. The Age of Enlightenment was challenging old dogmas, and the boundaries between science, mysticism, and medicine were blurred. Into this world stepped Franz Anton Mesmer, a man whose name would become synonymous with both controversy and innovation. Mesmer's life and work would ignite debates that echoed through the centuries, influencing not only the development of hypnosis and psychotherapy, but also the very way we think about the mind and body. This is the story of Mesmer, physician, showman, and the father of animal magnetism. What makes a man challenge the very foundations of science and medicine? To understand Mesmer's revolutionary ideas, we must first journey to the shores of Lake Constance, where a curious boy gazed at the world with wonder and skepticism. Franz Anton Mesmer was born on May 23, 1734, in the small village of Isnang, near Lake Constance in Swabia, Germany. The third of 9 children, Mesmer grew up in a modest household. His father, Anton Mesmer, worked as a forester for the Archbishop of Constance, while his mother, Maria Ursula Michel, was the daughter of a locksmith. The natural beauty of the countryside, with its flowing rivers and dense forests, left a deep impression on young Franz, who would later recall his fascination with the hidden forces of nature. Mesmer's early education took place in local monastic schools, where he excelled in his studies. The Jesuit influence was strong, and he was exposed to a rigorous curriculum that included philosophy, theology, and the natural sciences. Although his family hoped he would pursue a career in the church, Mesmer was drawn to the mysteries of the physical world. In 1759, he enrolled at the University of Vienna, one of Europe's leading centers of learning. There he immersed himself in the study of medicine, philosophy, and astronomy. The intellectual ferment of Vienna, with its salons and scientific society, provided fertile ground for Mesmer's burgeoning curiosity. In 1766, he completed his medical degree with a dissertation entitled G Planetarum Influxuing Corpus, drawing on the work of Isaac Newton and the British physician Richard Mead. Chapter 2. The Birth of Animal Magnetism. What if the secret to health and disease lay not in medicines or surgery, but in invisible forces that flowed through every living thing? Mesmer's quest for answers would lead him to a discovery that would shake the medical world to its core. After marrying the wealthy widow Anna Maria von Posch in 1768, Mesmer established a successful medical practice in Vienna. He moved in elite circles, befriending artists and intellectuals, including the young Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Yet Mesmer was restless, dissatisfied with the limitations of conventional medicine. In 1774, he encountered the work of the Jesuit priest Johann Joseph Gassner. Mesmer attended Gassner's demonstrations and became convinced that the priest's success was not due to supernatural forces, but to a natural, physical principle. That same year, Mesmer treated Franziska G. Sterlin, a young woman suffering from what was then called hysteria. He applied magnets to her body, believing that he could manipulate the flow of invisible fluids. The patient experienced dramatic convulsions and, afterward, a temporary remission of her symptoms. Mesmer concluded that it was not the magnets themselves, but his own ability to direct a universal magnetic force that had produced the effect. He called this force animal magnetism. Mesmer's theory was radical. He believed that all living beings were permeated by a magnetic fluid, and that illness resulted from blockages or imbalances in its flow. By manipulating this fluid, he claimed, he could restore health. Mesmer's ideas were influenced by the scientific currents of his time, including Newtonian physics and the search for universal laws, yet they also drew on older traditions of alchemy, astrology, and the occult. Chapter 3. Step into a candlelit salon in Paris, where the air is thick with incense and anticipation. Here, Mesmer's patients gather around a mysterious tub, awaiting a treatment that promises miracles and delivers spectacle. Mesmer's therapeutic methods were as dramatic as his theories. He developed a range of techniques designed to manipulate the magnetic fluid and provoke healing crises. The most famous of these was the baquet, a large wooden tub filled with water, iron filings, and glass rods. Patients would sit around the baquet holding the rods or linking hands to form a chain. Mesmer would move among them, making sweeping gestures known as magnetic passes, with his hands or a wand. The atmosphere was carefully orchestrated. The room was dimly lit. Incense burned and music often played on a glass harmonic filled the air. Patients frequently experienced intense physical and emotional reactions, convulsions, laughter, tears, or fainting. Mesmer believed these crises were necessary for the release of blockages and the restoration of health. If a patient's reaction became too extreme, they were taken to a separate crisis room to recover. Mesmer's sessions were highly ritualized, blending elements of theater, ceremony, and science. He wore flamboyant clothing and cultivated an air of mystery. The collective energy of the group, he believed, amplified the effects of the treatment. Mesmer's methods attracted patients from all walks of life, including members of the aristocracy. Many reported dramatic improvements in their health, while others remained skeptical. The spectacle of Mesmer sessions, with their trances and convulsions, became the talk of Vienna and, later, Paris. Chapter 4. Controversy and criticism. No great innovator escapes the shadow of doubt. As Mesmer's fame grew, so did the chorus of skeptics, eager to expose the man behind the miracles. Mesmer's growing fame brought him both admirers and detractors. In Vienna, his claims were met with skepticism by the medical establishment. Accusations of charlatanism and fraud began to circulate. In 1777, a scandal involving the blind pianist Maria Theresia, whom Mesmer had treated, forced him to leave the city. Mesmer relocated to Paris in 1778, where he quickly established himself as a celebrity healer. The French capital, with its salons and appetite for novelty, proved fertile ground for Mesmer's ideas. He opened a clinic and began treating patients using his magnetic methods. The Parisian public was enthralled, and Mesmer sessions became fashionable events. Yet the medical faculty of Paris remained deeply suspicious. In 1784, King Louis XVI appointed two royal commissions to investigate Mesmer's claims. The first, led by Benjamin Franklin and Antoine Le, concluded that there was no evidence for the existence of a magnetic fluid. The effects of Mesmer's treatments, they argued, were due to imagination and suggestion. The second commission, led by Joseph Ignace Guillotin, reached similar conclusions. These reports dealt a severe blow to Mesmer's reputation. He was forced to close his clinic and withdraw from public life. Yet his followers, including the Marquis D, continued to develop and promote the practice of mesmerism. Chapter 5. Later years and legacy. When the spotlight fades, what remains of a man's work? For Mesmer, the end of public acclaim was only the beginning of a legacy that would ripple through history. After the Royal Commission's reports, Mesmer's influence waned in France. He spent his later years in relative obscurity, moving between Switzerland and Germany. Despite his fall from grace, Mesmer continued to practice and teach his methods to a small circle of devoted followers. He died on March 5, 1815, in Meersburg, Germany, largely forgotten by the medical establishment. Yet Mesmer's legacy endured. His theory of animal magnetism, though discredited as a scientific explanation, laid the groundwork for the development of hypnosis and psychotherapy. The Marquis D, one of Mesmer's disciples, discovered that patients could enter a state of magnetic sleep, in which they became highly suggestible and responsive to commands. This phenomenon, later known as hypnosis, would be studied by figures such as James Braid and Sigmund Freud. Mesmer's emphasis on the power of suggestion, the mind-body connection, and the therapeutic relationship anticipated many of the insights of modern psychology. His methods also highlighted the importance of ritual, expectation, and the placebo effect in healing. Chapter 6. The influence of mesmerism on science and culture. How does a single idea echo through centuries, shaping not just science, but art, language, and the very way we dream? Mesmer's influence reached far beyond the clinic, leaving its mark on the world's imagination. Mesmer's impact extended far beyond the realm of medicine. His ideas and methods influenced literature, art, and popular culture. The word mesmerize entered the English language as a synonym for enchantment or fascination. Writers such as Edgar Allan Poe and Charles Dickens drew on the imagery of mesmerism in their works. In the 19th century, mesmerism became intertwined with the spiritualist movement, as practitioners claimed to use magnetic forces to communicate with the dead. The spectacle of Mesmer sessions, with their trances and convulsions, prefigured the stage hypnotism and mind control acts that would become popular in later centuries. Mesmer's life also raised enduring questions about the nature of healing, the power of belief, and the limits of scientific knowledge. Was he a visionary ahead of his time, or a charlatan who exploited the credulity of his patients? The answer, perhaps, lies somewhere in between. Mesmer's work reminds us that the boundaries between science and magic are often porous, and that the search for understanding can lead us down unexpected paths. Conclusion. The enigma of Franz Anton Mesmer remains one of the most enigmatic figures in the history of medicine. His theory of animal magnetism, though ultimately rejected by the scientific community, challenged conventional wisdom and opened new avenues of inquiry into the mysteries of the mind and body. Mesmer's blend of science, showmanship, and mysticism captured the imagination of his contemporaries and left a lasting imprint on the fields of psychology, psychotherapy, and alternative medicine. Today, as we continue to explore the complex interplay between mind, body, and belief, the story of Mesmer serves as a reminder of the power of ideas and the enduring allure of the unknown.